before we start, this is your lifeline coming around your thumb this way. It's an indication of your pulmonary system, your breathing, your lungs and your breathing. This is your head and your spine line, an indication of how smart you are by how straight it goes across your hand, but also it's an indication of your spine and your spinal health. And then this is the heart line, your heart health and your emotional status. Then the shape of the hand is important. We'll talk about that when we get down to that. The fingertips are your personality. The shape of the hand is kind of your talents. And then the length of your fingers is another indication of your talents. So that finger, each finger should come up to about halfway on the first flange of the finger next to it. That one will come up to here. This one will come up to here. This one will come up to here. But the little tiny finger needs to only come up to the ring around the base of that top flange of that ring finger to be average. If it's short or long, then I'll tell you about that. And you don't want to see these little marks in the hand. This is an island. If this is in any of the lines, it breaks the energy of the line. That's a little island. But if you have a little square in the line, that's a protection sign. That's a good sign. And here's the really best sign of all, a triangle. You'll see that sometimes on the fate line. The fate line is the line that comes from the base of the palm here and goes up only to that middle finger. If it goes somewhere else, it is not the fate line. So on the left hand, by the way, is your past, your inherited characteristics. The lines don't change very much on that hand. Then your right hand is your present and your future, and your lines will change on that hand according to how you're living your life. So that fate line, when that comes up here to that middle finger, on the left hand is an indication of your intimate relationships, your marriages, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, whatever. And then on the right hand, that is an indication of your career. Every time that line breaks and moves over, it's a change in a career. You've got a timeline on your hands. Every 1/8 of an inch is about a year in the lines in your hands. So you can count that. If you're off by an 1/8 of an inch, you're off by a whole year. I have a little my technical measuring device that I measure with, and I can tell where you're off. Now, here's your lifeline. Here's your headline, here's your heart line, but what we're going to do is focus on the shape of your palm first. When you have a real square palm, very athletic. You've got to be moving around all the time. If it's round, very artistic. You see things that are aesthetic and things that fit together well. A very long palm, in proportion to the fingers, is a philosophical palm. And that type of person overanalyzes everything. You know somebody like that talks all the time. They say, well, I think this is that, and you know, you have friends like that. But when you have a cross between the round hand and a kind of a square hand, it's a musician's hand. You've got kind of a musician's hand. See, it's a little bit round down here, but it's a little square right here at the top. So you've got a cross between an athletic hand and a musician hand. Do you do any musical stuff at all?
6th grade, I played saxophone.
There you go. All right, musical hand. It's not enough that it's, that I think that you're going to be a musician, but it's enough that that would be one of your interests. Then your fingertips are your personality. So pointy-fingered people like fine things. There's one pointy finger. Let's see if you got any more. They like fine things. They're diplomatic and practical, but they are always collectors. So you got one little finger that's a collector finger. Square fingertips, practical, orderly, punctual, stubborn, macho. Do you know who has the square fingertips? Usually men. Usually these two fingers in the middle, you look at that, are kind of square. See, you've got a little tiny bit of a square one there. That indicates they got enough testosterone running through their body. I see a lot of square fingertips on the cowboys. Sometimes I'll get every single one of their fingers are square fingertips. Spatulate fingertips are a little bit wider on the ends than they are on the fingertip. And they're intense, dramatic, energetic, adventuresome, but your actors and actresses have the spatulate fingertips. You don't have a single one that's spatulate. But some of your actors and actresses that have the spatulate fingertips, Megan Fox, Russell Crowe, Jay Leno, if you look at their hands, they're a little clubby on the ends. Meryl Streep, you notice those hands when they're talking, you'll see that they're a little bit clubby on the end. And then the round fingertips usually are people who they're intuitive, they're quick, but they're very compassionate. Now see, you've got 3. Oh, that's a little bit pointy. You've got 3 here that are quite round. Compassionate. You generally should be in the health field. So you've got a couple of pointy fingers. You must collect a little bit. And then you have got, or you like fine things. Then you've got round fingertips. You really belong kind of in the health field. Okay, that's the shape of your hand. That's your fingertips. Now we're going to measure your fingers. Let's switch over. Well, we're going to stay here on the left hand for a minute here. That left hand, when you have the little islands like I showed you here, when you've got them in the left hand right here going along that lifeline, that's injuries. You've got, man, starting from 10, 11, 14, 13, 14. Let me see where 15 is. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is about right here. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 is about right here. Measure that with my little technical measuring device. Yeah, that's about 20 right there. So you're only right there. You're 21. You've got some injuries. What, did you play soccer or baseball or something when you was in?
I was just active. I've broken my arm a couple times.
Okay, all right. You've got some injuries right there in your middle school years. You got a big one right here, about age 16 and a half or so.
I got in a car wreck.
Okay, that counts. And you got one here at 21. Oh, you had another car wreck, haven't you? Mm-hmm. Even if you have just
I was 20 though.
Well, it goes into 20.
Okay.
Even if you just have a whiplash, it's going to show on that line. So that's injuries through there. Now the lines on the inside on this left hand only, lines on the inside are your guardian angel lines. They will come down and they will touch on your lifeline at the age you were when a loved one died. And a loved one could be your relatives, grandma, grandpas, aunties, uncles, or a really good friend or a kid you knew in school, someone you knew in school. Here's your line right here. Comes in here. Oh boy, it's hard to see where that touches. Well, here's one coming right here. That is touching right there. 10, 11, 12. Do you have any idea who died when you're about age 12? You might have to think about that one for a while. Let me see if you got any coming up there. On the back side here, they come in this way, and they touch where there's a line that goes across. You got one right smack at 10. Age 10 and 12. Okay, let's switch hands. Let's go to your right hand. This left hand is your past. Right hand is your present and your future. All right, we're moved on to the right hand, which is your present and your future hand. We're going to do your finger lengths, which is, again, that's your talents. And this is university proved, the length of these fingers. Each finger should come up to about halfway, halfway on the flange of the finger here. Except that little finger, it comes up to the ring around the ring finger. So the thumb should come up to the base of that flange of the next finger to it. Boy, you are so average. When you have a short finger like that, it means you're very good with numbers. But yours is short, you're just average. If it's long, you do well in life because you have good manual dexterity. All right, average on the thumb. Now this pointer finger, index finger, needs to come right here, halfway on this top flange of the middle finger. Look how long that is. You got a good fingertip there. That's the bossy finger. Means the boss, the leadership finger. Management finger, supervisor. You ever worked a job where you was a supervisor in management? Because that is very long. That's very, very, very good. And political finger, teaching finger. When that's a short finger, that's a self-motivated worker. They go off and do their own thing, but they do not like to do supervisory or management work. Now, this is a business finger, this middle finger. And that needs to be measured by the length of the palm. If that's a long finger, you're very good with business. That's slightly long finger. Very good, fairly good business finger. When that finger's kind of long like that, you got a good business sense. You know how to make money. So you could have a business if you want to. You might have to have somebody help you a little bit, but because it's not extremely long, but it's fairly long.